thousands of veterans miss out on benefits they're actually eligible for, and, many don't even realize it. Have you ever wondered if you're leaving money or healthcare benefits on the table?
It happens every single day. I mean, especially for veterans who assume they've hit the absolute maximum at a 100% disability rating. That ceiling is, well, it's an illusion.
Right. And one small mistake or just not knowing the right terminology in your VA claim, it could delay your benefits for months or cost you thousands of dollars over your lifetime.
Exactly. You could be walking away from a massive second check every single month purely because no one told you the exact name of the benefit to ask for.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Veterans Briefing. Today, we're unpacking a hidden layer of VA benefits known as Special Monthly Compensation, or SMC. By the end of this discussion, you'll know exactly what SMC is, why the VA doesn't just automatically give it to you, and most importantly, how you can claim it.
And the scale of this oversight really is staggering. We are looking at a huge bureaucratic blind spot where substantial earned compensation just goes unclaimed.
Because people don't know the phrase.
Right. They don't know the name of the benefit. And we need to establish right up front that this is not a glitch. We aren't, discussing a legal loophole or some clever trick to pull a fast one on the government.
Yeah, it's not a hack.
No, not at all. SMC is a deliberate, codified entitlement. It's designed for specific, serious situations that they transcend the standard disability rating system.
The best way I can wrap my head around this is thinking of it like a hidden menu at a restaurant.
Okay, I like it.
Like most people walk in, they look at the big illuminated board above the register, and they just order the standard combo meal.
The standard rating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the insiders, they know there's a secondary, unlisted menu available if you know the exact phrase to use. But the critical difference here is that this hidden menu doesn't cost you extra money. It pays you money you've already earned through your service.
That's a great way to put it. And to understand how to access that hidden menu, we really have to look at the fundamental architecture of VA compensation. Because the biggest mental hurdle for veterans is, well, it's the math.
Oh, for sure. You see 100% and you think, well, that's it.
Exactly. A veteran looks at their paperwork, they see that 100% rating, and they mathematically assume there's zero room for an increase. What they don't realize is that special monthly compensation, it operates on a completely separate track.
It's an entirely different layer.
Yes. It is an additional layer of financial support that gets paid on top of that base percentage.
But wait, I'm trying to understand how a system that literally have access to your entire medical history allows this to happen. I mean, if the VA can look at a file and see the clinical evidence that a veteran qualifies for this extra money, why on earth isn't there an automatic flag?
It's frustrating, I know, but it comes down to the stark difference between a proactive healthcare provider and a reactive claims bureaucracy.
A reactive bureaucracy.
Right. Let's look at the daily reality of a VA claims processor. They are managing this massive queue of files, and their performance is evaluated based on the speed and accuracy with which they adjudicate the specific items listed on your form.
So if I submit paperwork claiming a knee injury, their mandate is just look at the knee.
Exactly. If a claims processor happens to see medical notes detailing, say, severe nerve damage in your hands while they're reviewing that knee file, but you haven't formally claimed the nerve damage, they generally do not have the authorization or, frankly, the time to initiate a separate SMC claim for you.
Wow. So it really is like an old school filing cabinet.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
Like a filing cabinet only gives you the exact folder you request. It doesn't, read the papers inside, synthesize the information, and then proactively hand you a second folder you might need.
Precisely. The system quietly assumes you know every benefit you're entitled to. The burden of knowledge rests entirely on the veteran, which means you have to request SMC by name.
Before we get into exactly what conditions trigger this, I just want to pause for a second. If you're finding these discussions helpful, please subscribe to Veterans Briefing so you never miss important updates and practical information for veterans and their families.
It really does make a difference when you stay informed.
It does. Okay, so the system is a reactive filing cabinet waiting for a specific request. What exactly are we supposed to be requesting? Because the sources point to the first major category of SMC being the loss or loss of use of body parts. Hands, feet, sight, hearing.
Right, the loss or loss of use.
But that phrasing loss of use, that seems to be where the confusion really starts.
It is, because the word loss in a military context almost universally brings up the image of an amputation.
Right, a physical loss.
Yeah. So a veteran looks down, sees their hand is still physically attached to their wrist, and they immediately disqualify themselves from the benefit. They just assume the standard for compensation is missing anatomy.
But the fine print focuses on functionality, right? Not just anatomy.
Exactly. Functionality is key.
It's like having a broken smartphone. Like, the physical hardware is still sitting right there in your pocket. The glass is intact, the buttons are there. But if the motherboard is fried, if the screen won't turn on and it can't make a call functionally, it doesn't exist anymore. It's just a paperweight.
That is exactly how the VA approaches the human body. They evaluate biomechanics and daily utility. If a service-connected condition, like severe neuropathy or a complex joint injury, maybe paralysis, if it's left to hand so impaired that it can no longer grasp a cup of coffee or button a shirt or turn a doorknob,
The VA considers that the same as an amputation.
legally and functionally identical. The operative word in the statute is use.
Okay, taking that a step further, the information highlights something truly unexpected here. Because while a non-functioning hand is a very obvious visible impairment, the most commonly missed SMC qualifier is entirely invisible.
And heavily stigmatized.
Heavily stigmatized.
Yeah.
We are talking about the loss of use of a reproductive organ.
Yes. In clinical terms, this primarily translates to erectile dysfunction, or ED, and it is vital to understand how the VA classifies this.
Because they don't just view it as a natural part of aging, right?
No, not at all. They don't view it as a standalone issue. In a massive number of cases, ED is a direct physiological side effect of the heavy medications prescribed for other service-connected conditions.
Okay, let's break down the mechanism behind that, because this introduces the concept of a secondary service connection.
Right.
If a veteran didn't suffer a direct physical injury to that area during their service, how does the VA justify paying for it decades later?
Through a medical nexus.
A nexus.
Yeah, a nexus is simply a formal clinical link established by a doctor. So if a veteran is taking a prescribed SSRI for service-connected PTSD or heavy beta blockers for service-connected hypertension, those medications carry well-documented side effects.
Right.
When a doctor writes a letter stating that it is at least as likely as not that the veteran's erectile dysfunction was caused by those specific government-provided medications, the VA accepts the ED as an extension of the original injury.
So the side effect itself becomes compensable.
Exactly.
I want to ground this in a real-world example, just to show the human cost of not knowing this mechanism. There's a veteran we'll call Walter.
Ah, yes, Walter's story.
Yeah, Walter was at a 100% disability rating. And for a decade, he silently dealt with medication-induced erectile dysfunction. 10 years of his life passed where he had absolutely no idea it was tied to the medications he took for his service-connected conditions.
And he certainly didn't know the VA owed him money for it.
Right. And because it's so intensely personal, he never brought it up during his routine VA appointments.
He never mentioned it to his veteran representatives. He just, he simply absorbed the loss.
It's just the ultimate tragedy of pride, you know? You serve your country, you sustain an injury, you take the medications the government prescribes so you can function, and those medications cause a severe physical side effect.
Yeah.
Yet you end up leaving your own compensation behind because society dictates that men should just tough it out.
And the financial loss from that silence is staggering. We are talking about hundreds of dollars a month, compounded over 10 years. That is tens of thousands of dollars missing from a veteran's retirement.
Over embarrassment.
Literally, the VA bureaucracy operates purely on clinical data. They do not care about the awkwardness of the conversation. They only care about the medical reality documented on the form. Embarrassment is the only barrier.
But that invisible struggle with medication side effects, it doesn't happen in a vacuum. Over time, as those primary conditions worsen, the veteran's entire environment begins to shrink.
Yes, the shrinking world.
Which brings us to another tier of special monthly compensation. This is for veterans whose daily reality is severely restricted by their health.
Right. This tier covers veterans who are legally housebound or who require a level of care the VA refers to as aid and attendance. And this goes far beyond just, having limited mobility or preferring to stay indoors.
I was looking at the criteria for aid and attendance, and it really seems to hinge on the inability to manage basic daily tasks without physical help.
Yes, the VA uses a clinical standard known as Activities of Daily Living, or ADLs.
So basic survival tasks.
Exactly. The fundamental tasks required for human survival and dignity. We're talking about the physical ability to get out of bed, bathe, put on clothing, prepare and consume a meal, and use the restroom.
Okay.
If a veteran's conditions have deteriorated to the point where they require the regular daily assistance of another human being just to safely complete these ADLs, that triggers a meaningfully higher level of SMC.
What really stands out to me here is the caregiver dynamic. It is rarely the veteran who raises their hand and admits they need aid and attendance.
Oh, it's never.
Right. It's almost always the spouse or the grown child who recognizes that the threshold has been crossed.
Because the decline is often so gradual that the veteran simply normalizes it. If your joint pain and your neuropathy worsen by a tiny fraction every month for 5 years, you adapt.
You just get used to it.
Right. You stop using the stairs, then you stop going to the grocery store, and eventually you just get used to sitting in the living room. You don't wake up one morning and announce, I am legally housebound.
But the caregiver sees the reality.
Yes.
It's the spouse who is suddenly managing a complex grid of 7 different pill bottles to prevent an overdose. Or the daughter who has to come over every single morning just to steady her father so he doesn't fall in the shower.
Exactly.
If you are the family member listening to this right now, and you are the one buttoning the shirts and sorting the pills, you need to understand that seeking this benefit is not asking for a handout. You are securing the resources your family has legally earned to manage a very real burden of care.
The VA recognizes that when injuries force a veteran into that shrinking world, the family requires significant financial support to maintain any semblance of quality of life, sometimes just to offset the cost of professional in-home care.
So looking at these different categories, the physical loss of use of a limb, the medication side effects causing ED, the eventual need for daily aid and attendance, how does the VA handle a veteran who is dealing with more than one of these at the same time?
This is where it gets really important. These benefits stack.
They stack.
Yes. The compounding nature of SMC is where the financial impact becomes life-changing. A veteran does not have to look at this list of conditions and pick just one.
Oh, wow.
The VA assigns different letter designations, right? Like SMCK for the loss of use of a creative organ or SMCL for aid and attendance. The law allows certain categories to be added together rather than superseding one another.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, a veteran could have standard 100% compensation plus an SMCK addition for erectile dysfunction. And if their mobility later declines to the point of needing daily help, they could add aid and attendance right on top of that.
Yes. In the right clinical circumstances, multiple SMC payments are dispersed simultaneously.
That's huge.
It is. The difference between a veteran who understands the mechanics of stacking these claims and an identical veteran with the exact same medical file who assumes their 100% rating is the absolute ceiling. That difference can be thousands of dollars every single month.
Over the course of a retirement, that entirely alters a family's generational wealth.
Absolutely.
Which brings us to the execution. Because if a veteran or a caregiver is listening to this and realizing their medical reality matches these criteria, what is the exact mechanism for unlocking this? Navigating this bureaucracy sounds pretty treacherous.
It can be. The first mandatory step is explicitness. You cannot submit a generic medical update from your doctor and just, hope the claims processor connects the dots.
Right, the filing cabinet.
Exactly. You must state, formally, I am claiming special monthly compensation for loss of use of my hands, secondary to my service-connected neuropathy. You name the benefit, and you provide the medical nexus linking it to your service.
And this is where we really need to issue a massive warning about the predatory industry surrounding these benefits.
Yes, please.
Never, ever pay a fee or a percentage of your retroactive back pay to a company promising to unlock this secret menu for you.
Wherever there is a large pool of unassigned government money, predatory businesses, often called claim sharks, they're going to emerge. They market themselves aggressively, they act like they possess a secret key to the VA vault, and they will ask for a significant cut of your first check.
You do not need to forfeit your earned money to navigate this system. There's an entire infrastructure of accredited veteran service officers, or VSOs, established specifically for this purpose.
And you can locate a VSO at your local county government offices or through major recognized veterans organizations. Their sole mandate is to sit across from you, audit your entire medical file, and identify the exact compensable connections you might have missed.
And they do this for free.
Completely free of charge. They understand the nuances of secondary service connections, and they know how to secure a medical nexus.
The true value of a seasoned VSO is their ability to ask the uncomfortable questions objectively.
All right.
They're the ones who will review your daily medication list, notice the heavy blood pressure prescriptions, and ask you point blank about erectile dysfunction.
There's no judgment. They look at your file the way a mechanic looks at a diagnostic readout. They are simply diagnosing the mechanical failures caused by your service and filing the paperwork to get you paid for them.
They strip the emotion out of the process.
Yes, and replace it with clinical, actionable strategy.
Let's distill all of this down. If you take nothing else away from today's discussion, lock in these top 3 takeaways. Number 1, special monthly compensation is a distinct, stackable layer of financial support that exists above your standard VA rating. Mathematical perfection on your standard claim does not mean you have maxed out your benefits.
Number 2, the legal threshold for loss of use focuses on functionality, not anatomy. It covers invisible secondary medication side effects like ED, which requires a medical nexus to link it to your service.
And number 3, the system is reactive. The VA will not proactively grant you these benefits. You must demand SMC by name, and you should rely exclusively on free, accredited veteran service officers to help you build and submit the claim.
Keep your money out of the hands of claim sharks.
Exactly. So here is your practical action for today. If you or a loved one are taking medications for service-connected conditions, sit down and do an audit of the side effects. And then set up a meeting with a free, accredited VSO to review your file.
It's the most important step you can take.
And we want to hear from you. Have you had experience navigating FMC, or did you encounter hurdles trying to claim secondary conditions? Please share your experiences or questions in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe.
We really learn a lot from your stories in the comments.
We do. And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a broader thought. We've just dissected a massive government bureaucracy that operates on this quiet, structural, don't ask, don't tell policy regarding the benefits it owes its citizens. It forces you to wonder how many other systems in our society operate on this exact same premise.
That's a great question.
What else in our lives, in our healthcare networks, our tax codes, our retirement, are we blindly assuming will automatically take care of us, simply because we believe we've hit the top tier? Sometimes hitting the ceiling just means you're standing on the floor of a completely different room you didn't even know existed. And if you never learn the specific password to unlock the door, you will be left sitting on the outside forever. Thank you for watching Veterans Briefing. Take care, stay informed, and we'll see you in the next episode.